Few things bind some Christians more than fear. Fears of men, fears of situations, fears of the unknown. Fear not, O land, the prophet says. Do not fear the unknown. Do not fear men or their agendas. Do not fear for personal failure or anything else. Do not be brought down into the slavish bondage of these things. But he says, be glad and rejoice, for the Lord has done marvelous things, and he will do marvelous things. Once you were in bondage, church. Now you are free. Once you were a slave to sin. Now you are a son and a co-heir with Christ, a son or daughter, and a co-heir with Christ himself. Once the sentence of destruction was upon you. Disobedience had corrupted your mind. Sin had betrayed you. But now God has had mercy upon you. He has been jealous for you and pitied you, and no longer will the reproach of these former ways rest upon you. He has done marvelous things. Restoration has come because Christ has come. He is the repairer of the breach that Isaiah spoke about in Isaiah 58:12. The restorer of years broken and torn. Do not any longer remain captive then to these former things, these fears. Lay them down. Be glad and rejoice, for the days of your captivity have ended. Be glad and not in despair. Know that the joy of the Lord is your strength. Rest in hope of the deliverance and salvation of God. Rejoice in him alone. Rejoice that he is your God, you who once were alienated and enemies in your minds by wicked works. Because in Christ he has broken down the middle wall of separation, and he has reconciled all to himself in and through his Son. And he will not delay to perform what he has promised. So be glad and rejoice, the prophet says, for he shall come to restore his presence to his people, if they will turn to him. God promised to Israel crops and cattle, but the highest and greatest was the restoration of his presence, the joy and beauty of his people. This was their power, and it is ours also. This is our heritage, brethren, to know this presence. To those who would not be consumed and blinded by their temporal wants, true comfort will be extended, comfort to the people of God. For the Lord will comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places. He will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of the Lord. Joy and gladness will be founded at thanksgiving and the voice of melody. A season of growth and maturity will be known by his people, for he has promised that if they will turn to him and pray to him and seek his face, if they will abandon their fears and be wholly concerned with him in his presence, he has promised gospel blessing that refreshes thirsty souls and quickens desolate churches. For he wills to reveal himself in such a way to us. If we will but turn to him with all our heart, all of our affections, our ambitions, our desires, all that we have cherished, God says that I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. You shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your God, who has dealt wondrously with you. To love God with perfect love is not to fear anything. For what has one to fear who rightly stands before the living God? Because fear involves torment, that which plagues the mind, assaulting our peace and hindering our testimony and rendering us ineffective. But we must lay our fears down and turn from them unto God once and for all. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear.